Come on! Yo, motherfuckers! I'm George Massey, and today I'm going to be reviewing The Fast, the Furious 8.
It's wrong.
A movie that for some reason is often called The Fate of the Furious, which I find a little strange. On my ticket it said The Fate of the Furious, but when I was in the cinema it said The Fast and the Furious 8. Anyway, I'll be honest about one thing. I've seen the first Fast and the Furious, I've seen the second Fast and the Furious. I even had a day of work on a Fast and the Furious. That's the truth. I was just hanging around in the back, not really doing anything. But I've only seen the first two, and this movie, I was like, oh, I want to see it. It's in the cinema. It was 10 o'clock at night. I've been working, and I went into the cinema, okay, and I thought, this is going to be crap, isn't it? This is going to be a crap movie. This is going to be a real popcorn movie where I enjoy the popcorn more than I enjoy watching the actual film. And I'm sitting in the cinema, okay, and it's pretty empty. There's like no one in there really, and it's like, you know, the loud car engine sounds, the intro credits, and the way the film begins kind of feels like a modern music video, which if you've seen my show Music Video Mondays with Damien, you know I don't like most modern music videos. A different prayer, Lord, please save. I know that I'm saying this too quickly, but all these songs sound exactly the same. So I'm sitting there thinking, this is going to be crap, isn't it? And then all of a sudden, this name shines, materializes, manifests across the screen, directed by F. Gary Gray. And I'm like, what? F. Gary Gray? The guy who did Friday, who did The Negotiator, who did Straight Outta Compton? This is a great director. I didn't know he was directing this. What the hell, right? And let me tell you, this is an exciting movie. I've heard negative reviews about The Fast and the Furious 8, but this is a well-controlled movie. F. Gary Gray worked hard on this film.
Holy shit!
Interestingly, I would say that the character play, the connection between the characters, is kind of the weakest part of the movie, which is interesting because F. Gary Gray is so good at character connection. You just go back to Friday and you're like, oh, he's so good at that. And there's even a bit of a nod to Friday, just like Straight Outta Compton had a bit of a nudge back to Friday, which is really cool. But the thing is it doesn't matter too much. It's like there is some really fun character play, the stuff between Dwayne Johnson and Jason Statham, some of that's really funny between those two characters. There's one line that's so funny that both actors start laughing in the scene, and you know it's an outtake. You know that they said the bit of dialogue and they both started laughing, and the director just left the outtake in the movie, for sure. But it's fun, and that's kind of the approach to the whole movie is, hey, this is about having fun. This is about having a good time. And in all honesty, I had a good time, and full credit to it because, number one, I was completely kind of in awe. I was like, how do you make a movie like this? Now, I've made movies, I've even made award-winning movies, but the movie stuff I've done is small because I ain't got no money in it. But when I watched this, I'm like, even if I had the $250 million that this film cost to make, the destruction, the level of destruction, the amount of work, the toil, the labour, the time it must have taken to make this film is unbelievable. CGI aside, the actual number of cars getting destroyed and demolished and just totaled. You know how hard it would be to shoot some of that stuff? You get scenes where like wrecking balls are destroying these cars, okay, and it lasts like a second, right? You'll see a shot where a car is flipped over and it looks incredible, but to shoot that scene would have been like a night shoot. It's like, right, we've got to set up all these cars, okay, and then this ball's going to smash them up, and then all these cars are total destroyed, and they're like, okay, now we'll have to reset and we'll have to do it all again. If you know nothing about filmmaking, my point is that to get like a minute of footage would have taken God knows how long, because it's just an unbelievable amount of work. I was conscious of the amount of work. Sometimes you just see the budget and you're like $250 million and you can see the money on the screen, but this movie I could see the work on the screen. I thought about the crew, the hundreds of people who had to put those cars out there, who had to clean up the mess, who had to plan the stunts, who had to make sure everything was safe and taken care of. And even there's like a car that they say costs $1 million, and obviously, you know, they're gonna destroy it. And I'm thinking, how many $1 million cars actually got destroyed to make this movie? Now, I don't want to give much away, but what I will say is that it felt like an 80s kids cartoon. It didn't have the music of an 80s kids cartoon. It didn't even quite have the camaraderie of a good 80s kids cartoon, but it did have the adrenaline. It did have the momentum. It felt very much, in all honesty, a bit like the very first episode of Mask. Sometimes you watch a movie, especially an action movie, a real Hollywood blockbuster, and I come out of the cinema and I feel a bit drained, like, oh, that was kind of, it took its toll. It was entertaining, it was interesting in part, but you feel a little bit kind of washed out, like you need to take a break afterwards. This movie, when I came out of the cinema, I was pumped, I was hyped, I had a bounce in my step, just like when I was a kid and I watched those 80s kids cartoons and I was like, yeah, ready to start the day. You want to kind of be a bit of a hero. And this movie is ridiculous enough, and it's large enough in scale, and it's quite a tapestry of destruction, but it's fun. Man, it is a fun movie. If you can't see the fun and the excitement in this movie, well, I don't know anyone who hasn't. I haven't met anyone yet who actually says it's not good, though I've read bad reviews. But anyway, a masterpiece. Well, not a masterpiece as a whole, but it certainly got some real masterpiece elements. There is some skill in the direction of this movie. It's hard to direct an action film. Quentin Tarantino said himself that he felt like the greatest directors were really the directors who could make action movies, because it's so difficult to make an exciting action movie. And this is a unique kind of action movie because it's a car movie, but it left me on a high, it left me buzzing, it left me feeling good. And if a movie leaves you feeling that way, then for what it was aiming for, it is most definitely a success. So I encourage you to check it out. I know it's doing incredibly well at the box office, but what I will say is this is good on the cinema. The sound of it, the look of it, it's a big film, and it's worth seeing this monumental ballet of chaos on the big screen. So yeah, check it out. It's fun. It's fun. What more can you say? It's a fun movie. Anyway, I'm George Massey. Leave some comments below. Let me know what you thought of the movie or what you thought of this review. Check out my other reviews. And as George Carlin once said, take care of yourselves and take care of someone else. Peace.